Hello, good evening. Today I'm here to discuss the Service Selection Board, the SSB interviews. My aim is basically to clear out certain misgivings and misconceptions. We call them myths also. Actually, what happens when children or the candidates go for the SSB, whether they get selected, recommended, or not, they come out with certain ideas and they spread them. And these ideas actually circulate. In today's world, with the internet, it takes very little time for any idea to get viral. The people find it mysterious. They really don't know why they have been selected or rejected or not recommended and recommended. But in the end, they come out with some ideas, some opinions, some thought processes, some misconceptions, which actually somehow get spread. And those children who are actually getting guided by these YouTube videos and this Adkachara knowledge, they actually get confused. Let me just tell you that one of my batchmates, after nearly 35 years of service, was discussing with me as to what to do after retirement. And I told him, let us go and help people remove their misconceptions, help them in growing their personality, let them become better person, and then go for SSB, because SSB is looking for good people. So he smiled and he said, Atul, do you really know why you were selected? I smiled back and I asked him, do you? And he says, no, I really don't know why I was selected. Then I told him, since I have been teaching in this line for nearly 20 years, I can tell you why you were selected. And I can even say why I was selected. And it's not very complicated. It is basically a system which tests the personality. The problem is the people, the candidates, are not actually working on their personality. Rather, they are working on tests. That is where the entire problem lies. Now, let me start with this problem. The problem is that we are, while preparing for the service selection board, we are concentrating on what tests SSB puts us through. There is a set of 4 tests by the psychologist after you screen him, 9 tests by the JTO, and an interview. What they are looking for is basically a genuinely good chap. Are they looking for somebody who has come from Mars, who's a superhuman, is well ahead of his age? No, they're not. What they're looking at is basically you should be a genuinely good person who actually can be trusted with the responsibility of leading our troops in peace and field. We are looking as officers and selectors, we are looking at the candidate as if he's to join our unit. That actually means whether I want to accept that fellow as a member of my family. Because for me, an artillery officer, my unit is my identity. And my identity, if I have to join a candidate as an officer, he becomes a part of my family and my part of my identity. Therefore, when I select a candidate, the last acid test that I put through is this gentleman responsible and trustworthy enough? Is he basically a good guy? If the answer is yes, we select him. If the answer is no, he can go back and try again till he comes and displays those qualities wherein we find him appropriate and good enough to join our team. It is very interesting to see that when we actually train for this kind of a test, it's something very unique and very new. So far, in any candidate's life who has come to the SSB, he has never actually been through a personality test. You have already gone through physics test, chemistry test, maths test, English test, Hindi test, geography, economics, etc., etc. But personality as a whole has never been tested. And therefore you think that if you have to qualify the personality test, it would be just like another test, which the SSB is not. It is not a routine test. It is not a test that you do 200 TATs, 1000 WATs, 500 SRTs, and you'll get through the psychologist. No, sir. The psychologist is looking at a person who is responsible enough. It is not an English test. I was recently hearing one of the ex-interviewing officers. He says, I wish I was a psychologist because I would have rejected 80% of the candidates based on their English alone, because they can't express themselves. They really don't know what the hell they are writing. And you can imagine, if your English is not good, how difficult it would be for the psychologist to see through your test replies and ascertain your personality. You may be good, but firstly, you're neither prepared for the test, nor you have the personality, nor are you able to communicate it. That is the reason why in SSB, we basically put a lot of emphasis on preparing for the personality. Now, how do we prepare for the personality? Something which has not been done in the schools. Let me tell you, most of the good schools, good ones, which are called good ones, they are actually personality oriented. And the average schools are basically those which are concentrating on their 10th results and 12th results, marks and marks alone. And that actually makes the difference in the personality. If you are in a good school, and something like Sainik School, Riva, that's my school and I'm very proud of it, and you're taking part in all the activities that are being done in the school, For example, the debates, the dramatics, the declamations, the drama, recitations, songs, dances, co-curricular activities, athletics, football, hockey, cross country. You are playing indoor games, chess, table tennis, and all these things, and taking part in these competitions, getting involved as house captains in preparing your teams, getting involved in organizing these events when your house has got a responsibility. If you are using your library and reading personally, making some good personal reading, do you really require anything more than this to make a personality? No. I have a question on PPDT. Now we'll talk about the PPDT. Now PPDT is just one of the tests. The PPDT actually talks about your picture. There is a frame which is given to you. You have to write a story on it, narrate that story. Thereafter, as a group activity, the entire group is required to sit down and make a story, and then one of the students or candidates is made to present that story as a group story. Now imagine why this PPDT is there. This PPDT is there so that we understand your subconscious. When you write that story or you're making that story, we want to understand whether you are a positive person, whether you really can relate things to your own life, the problems that you have faced, the solutions that you have worked out, the solutions that your mind is capable of working out, the achievements at the end of it. All this is what we like to check in your story. In your narration part, what we want to understand is if you have some ideas, arguments, stories, events, anything in your mind, can you communicate effectively? Can you actually communicate it to the group? Can you actually move the group? Remember Julius Caesar? One famous speech, and the entire tide is turned. If you have known Barack Obama, remember one 6.5 minute speech when Barack Obama was getting his candidature for the presidency. In 6.5 minutes of speech, he is supposed to have moved from a beginner to the strongest contender. That is the power of public speaking. And we want to understand as a leader, when we put you as an officer, do you have the potential? Do you have the potential? That is the word. Do you have the potential to become a good public speaker? Because you will be speaking to a team, you will be speaking to your men, you will be speaking to junior officers, you'll be training them, you'll be working with them, you'll be working with all of them. Can you from a podium can actually be impressive and effective? At the end of it, when the group activity starts, we want to check how's your group behavior. The story part is over. And now we want to check how well you actually merge with the task that has been given to the group. Do you still continue to be an individual, or now you are a team player? If you are an effective team player and you contribute to the group, There is no reason why you should not be picked up in screening that is selected after the PPDT. In nutshell, that is PPDT. Understand the aim. The aim is to pick up potential candidates who actually can be put through the entire series of the test. We are not looking for perfections. We are looking for trainabilities. Right now, just a spark of your potential. If you can show it to us, you're in. Please come. Now we will go in details about your personality. And then the SSB starts. The next question that has come is how do we develop a personality? Gentlemen, it's personality is a outcome of your age. That is 18 years, 19 years, 20 years, whatever it is. And whatever you have learned in these 18, 20 years, the sum total is your personality. The SSB is not wanting you to be out of the blue, somebody from Mars. The SSB is actually wanting you to have a perfectly normal and rounded personality. You are taking this personality to be something which is very scary, something preparing for it which is very scary. It is not. If you have been reading books, genuinely, something other than your syllabus, may not be very frequently, but genuinely, one odd book in 3-4 months. If you have been taking part in stage activities, debates, dramatics, singing, dancing, being MC, master of the ceremony, if you have been playing sports at some level, even at house level, etc. If you have been involved in organizing activities like house captains, vice captains, school captains, or even anybody else in the organizing committee, if you can analyze things, whatever is coming in your contact, if you can relate your bookish knowledge to what is happening in life, if you can communicate effectively whatever is inside you, your potential, this is all that is required. Most of us have these qualities. These qualities, in some measure or the other, most of us have these qualities. But then, once you come for SSB and you are being put through a test, you suddenly find that quite a few candidates who actually have these qualities are unable to display them for various reasons. Reasons like lack of communication skills. Reasons like lack of physical fitness. Reasons like lack of analytical power. Reasons like lack of power to take decisions. If you are all this, if you are low in confidence, if you cannot express your thoughts, how do you think the assessors would be able to make out the potential in you? Please be very clear. In SSB, what we are wanting to see is only your potential and trainability. We are not looking for perfect pieces who have to be made officers the next day. You will be actually made to go through the rigorous training. 4 years in my case, 3 years in India, and 1 year at IMA. And we are only checking that potentially you can become a good officer or not. So if you show the spark and the potential, you will be taken in. So basically, we require somebody who is a rounded personality, who's almost an all-rounder. हर चीज में ठीक ठाक है. He may not be outstanding in everything. Some people ask me, sir, generally a question is asked, how or why do you want to join the army? Sir, what can be my unique answer? Why do you want to give a unique answer? As assessors, we know that you all are in an age group, and there are certain things which is the requirement of life by this age group. They require respect, they require power to do something helpful, important for the society. They want to be recognized, they're willing to make sacrifices, they require a decent lifestyle, they want adventure, they want that people should appreciate their effort, they require a good, decent money, they require decent surroundings, living space, they require a decent family which is respected in the society. Anything out of these is logical, reasonable, and acceptable. Why do you have to give a unique answer? Your answer itself is going to be unique because your personality is going to dictate that which one of these actually appeal to you more. Any of these answers which appeal to somebody in a particular manner may not be equally supported by my personality. Somebody may be an adventure-loving person and he wants to join army because he loves adventure. He does not want an office job. But if in my entire life I have never done any adventure and I give this answer, then it is clearly understood that I am trying to fraud. I am trying to give a wrong impression of my personality. And that's what SSB don't like. We definitely don't like people who are trying to give us fraud answers, who give us false images of their personality. I'm sure if you are in our place as assessors, you also won't like it. Let me take another question. Madhav Mishra. He says, my English is not good. Gentlemen, if you're going through SSB, that actually means that you have cleared the UPSC or you have a cutoff percentage, which is again very good. So that actually means basically you are good. If your English is not so good as this student has said, Madhav Mishra, what has he done? Now let me tell you a story. There's one Gujarati student who actually went to UK during this beginning of Corona days. On reaching London airport, he was diagnosed positive. Immediately he was quarantined, his family was taken away, and he was put in a room. Of course, there was a lot of problems because far too many people are getting quarantined at this time. So there was a decent enough room which actually had a TV, but even the Wi-Fi was not able to support their mobiles so much. because there are far too many connections there. Suddenly they had cropped in. So mobile activity was also restricted. Now this fellow had studied in Surat and in an English medium school, but he was not able to speak English at all because there was no environment of spoken English in his house. The mother was a non-English speaking lady. Father was also not speaking English. So out of his school, they were all speaking in Gujarati. The basics were okay because he had studied from class first or maybe prep, pre-nursery to class 11th. He was studying in 11th. He had not even qualified 11th. Now this student was quarantined for 21 days. Everybody whom he met and came across was an Englishman. Whatever interaction he had was with the TV where only the English programs were coming. First day, this fellow was totally lost. He just didn't know what the hell was happening. Second day, third day, he was very uncomfortable, very uneasy. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh day, he started understanding a little bit. In 21 days, there was a miracle. When this boy came out, he was speaking English with English accent. His parents were surprised. He himself was. And everybody who knew him was. The lesson from this is, if you can create an environment of English all around you, all 24 hours a day, for 21 days, you will come out speaking English with English accent. If you are weak in English, if you cannot express yourself properly in English, please do this. Make your group with your friends. There are certain things which are out of your control, like your mother and father and their English. But definitely friend circle. Put all the inputs, that is reading and listening, in English. Start writing, expressing yourself as much as you can, and start speaking. If you want to speak good English, you must practice speaking English. The more you speak, the smoother and better you will be. Have I answered your question, Madhav? There is a question. Sir, how to crack SSB? Do it by YouTube or by coaching? Gentlemen, both are dangerous. Handle with care. YouTube, किसने क्या डाला है, is just not authentic. And in personality test, what works for one may not work for the other. Generally, I like to say that YouTube has provided information, but also provide lot of misinformation. You actually have to have the capability to sift, to take out the correct and appropriate things from a lot of overflow of information. So, I cannot say that YouTube does not have information. It has all the relevant information. But there is a lot of misinformation, wrong information, and wrong interpretation there. What works for Santa Singh may not work for Banta Singh. And definitely not for Mohan. And certainly not for Atul Mishra. I actually have to work on my own personality, whether I go to YouTube or coaching center. I have to understand my own weaknesses and work on them. If I'm physically weak, then I have to work on physical fitness. If my spoken English is not good, I have to work on my spoken English. If my power of analysis is weak, I must work on power of analysis. If I'm not a team man, if I have been a selfish guy so far, I have to learn how to be a team member. Remember that age old saying, the Battle of Waterloo was won in the playing fields of Aton. The preparation for SSB is in the playing fields. It's not a classroom teaching. You basically require for SSB to understand yourself. Anybody who is in love with you, like your father, like your mother, like your elder brother or sister, anybody who knows you, and anybody who knows the requirement of SSB, and anybody who knows how to achieve those targets and help you and guide you in doing that, that is where you should be. Part of it can be in your family, part of it can be through YouTube. But you require somebody to be able to guide you in the right direction. If you choose the wrong guy, wrong YouTube video, and you take certain wrong lessons from YouTube or coaching institute, you are actually writing on your forehead, please reject me. Please remember, it's a personality test. Grow. Get out of your school mentality. Spoon feeding. If we realize that the candidate has used to spoon feeding, we'll definitely reject him. You are actually crossing your teens when you're comparing in SSB. You are a perfectly grown-up adult. The sheer fact that you have come to the SSB is that either you have cracked the UPSC or you have a good percentage, which makes you eligible to come for SSB. You're basically a good chap. You can't be low on IQ. You won't reach here otherwise. You're good. It is just that we have to polish certain rough edges. And anybody who knows you, who is in love with you, who knows the training methods, who knows the targets, who knows how to set the targets, who knows how to help you guide reach there, that's your man. He could be a teacher. He could be a senior who's willing to do that for you and who has got time and energy and inclination to do that. Who can help you practice that. Who can correct you on your issues. If you think sheerly by going to a coaching or just by watching YouTubes you can clear SSB, no, you will have to do these things on ground. I was basically hearing about a chap who was best in SRT. Why he was best in SRT? Because he was working in a company where a lot of coordination activity was required to be done. If he is already doing that, his group planning exercise, his SRTs, everything will be perfect. He'll never have problem doing those things because he is a man who has been coordinating in life. And personality में ये चीजें आ गई हैं. Let me take another question. How can I improve my Communications. If you want to communicate effectively, you have to practice communication. Simply. As far as communication and English, most of the questions are on that. There are four things, actually five. But let me talk about those four things first. There are two inputs and two outputs. Reading and listening are the inputs. Speaking and writing are the outputs. And in between you have your brain, which is actually a processor. Now, in case your inputs are coming in English, for example, I am speaking to you now and you're listening to it, and you aren't used to listening English, then your processor is actually translating it into Hindi, feeding it to your mind. Your mind is processing it, taking out the answer in Hindi, and then you're translating it, and then giving it out in English. And most of us do that. And most of us in initial stages definitely do that. But imagine when you are in an interview, you do not have time for this. He asks you a question and he's looking at your eye. He's looking at you in the eye. And you are just not able to answer immediately, makes you nervous and lose confidence. If that is happening, there is a time gap between the two processes that are going on in your mind. Translation from the input to the processor, output, and again in a language. With that kind of time gap, you cannot sustain yourself. So the answer lies in training your processor. The more you put your inputs in English and more you practice your outputs in English, your processor automatically starts tuning in to accept in English and give output in English. Right now it is accepting in Hindi and giving the output in Hindi. But the minute you have trained your processor to take the inputs in English and give it out in English, the time will reduce, your confidence will increase. A question is, how to increase my confidence? Well, if I want to learn swimming, I have to jump into the water. If I want to do swimming in the rough sea, in the waves, then I have to start somewhere. And that starting may be in the swimming pool where the water is calm. So initially, when I don't know swimming, I get inside. I firstly try to float. Then I want to learn some strokes. Then somehow I want to be able to do that breadth, few feet of swimming. Once I had done few breaths, then I get the courage to do some lengths. When I do one length, I'm very happy. I try more. I do 2, 3, 4 lengths. After I know that now I'll not drown, then I get into the sea, a calm sea. And then into the rough sea. Gradually, the confidence comes. But if you keep away from water, if you don't try to develop it, if you don't work on it, confidence will not come. There has to be somebody who would be, in case he is teaching you swimming, you will learn much faster. You will save a lot of precious time. But even if there's nobody, you can still learn. You may take longer. But you will. But there are two things which are required. The first is that you have to take a decision to learn swimming. And second thing is, you have to plan and prepare for the waves. Same thing is true for any skill that you wish to develop. Let me take another question. So, फर्स्ट डे क्लियर करने के लिए क्या करें? I understand it's a very major problem. Getting screened in it itself is a very big hurdle. Recently, one of my students who went, he had 437 persons, candidates for screening, and only 23 were screened in. 414 out of 437 were rejected on the first day itself. So I fully understand it's a problem. But if you understand why screening has been done, and if you understand what they are looking for in screening, you wouldn't have a problem. Because if you know what they are looking for, you know where you are, and you train yourself in the correct direction, you try to develop that spark in you, you'll get selected. जो सेलेक्ट होते हैं वो 23 भी तो हमारे बीच में से ही आते हैं. They are not come from us. It is just that in the given time and the test, they're able to show the spark. And the spark in OIR is straight out of the test, the verbal and the non-verbal ones. In PPDT, a decent enough story and a good narration and good participation in the group discussion while trying to make the story is all that we require, and what we are only wanting to see is a spark. Unfortunately, the candidates who come for the SSB are reasonably good in academics, very good in academics. They have either cutoffs or they have the UPSC clarified cracked. But unfortunately, in their personality, they are not able to show that spark. Their personality is not all round. And therefore, if you want to clear this test, you might as well prepare for this test. And this is definitely not a physics, chemistry, or a mathematics test. For heaven's sake, please understand it is your personality being put to test. To start with, accept your weaknesses. Second thing, work on them. There's no reason why you should get rejected in the screening. Screening is a very simple test. उसके बाद तो पूरी SSB होनी है. So again, I'm so impressed, and I can tell you all the questions, in fact most of the questions are coming about the tests, not about the personality traits. Whereas it's a personality test. And you should be asking me more questions on your personality. You should be able to say, sir, how do I develop power of analysis? How do I improve my decision making? How do I improve my team spirit? How can I become a more responsible family member? Unless these things are in your personality, being done day by day as a habit, as a second nature, they will not come in your personality test. The psychologist, the GTO, the interviewing officer are too well trained to be fooled. They are very mature officers. They are almost the best ones that we have. They are the people who have been trained for a job. They are there to select. The seats go vacant in NDA and academies. They are not getting sufficient candidates. The only thing is that they are not willing to lower their standards. And that is the reason why we have a problem. Here also, if you see, most of the questions are coming on tests. Sir, मेरे को स्क्रीनिंग के लिए बता दीजिए, मेरे को पीपीटीटी के बारे में बता दीजिए, टीएटी में स्टोरी कैसे लिखनी है. Don't bother about TAT. Don't bother about these tests. Know what is there. You must know what a test is. You must know how many sentences you can write. You must know what are the important things to be written. What a story, after all, is. But do you are required to write 500 stories? You're killing yourself unnecessarily. We are not trying to make a Premchand out of you, the best kahanikar ever. No. Please start thinking about your personality. Please start thinking about being a good chap whom we can trust, who is responsible. Okay, Anshu Rituraj, how can we improve our overall rational attitude and calmness? As many tests measure teamwork, and yet people start competing amongst themselves without comprehending the meaning of word team. So very right. Most of the students who have reached there have reached because they were good in academics. The cutoffs have been put in academics. The UPSC is academics. The people who are going there have basically been individual players. They've generally been making good notes and keeping it to themselves. And I've heard things like कि मैं उसको अपने नोट्स क्यों दूं? साल भर मैंने बैठ के पढ़ाए. अगर उसको अच्छा करना है तो why doesn't he make his own notes? Why should I help him? अभी एग्जामिनेशन का 1 महीना बचा है, मैं अपना पढ़ूं कि उसकी मदद करूं? If you are scoring very high marks and you have this attitude, it will reflect in your tests, personality test. You may be an outstanding boy or a girl. With this attitude, you can become a very good research player. You can become a very good programmer. Please go for it. Attitude-wise, you're not suited for the army. If you want to learn cooperation, learn to work in teams. Go and do team events. Focus yourselves on team results. Play team games. Organize activities as a team. Start thinking of results for the team as such. As a class, we must do well. And there's so much of class spirit when we were in Sainik school. हमारी क्लास का ये अच्छा होना चाहिए, हमारी क्लास का ये दूसरी क्लास के रिजल्ट से खराब नहीं होना चाहिए, हमारी क्लास का यूपीएससी रिजल्ट दूसरी क्लास से अच्छा होना चाहिए. And we go all out trying to work that out. It's a team focus. To develop team focus, you have to practically get out of the classroom and work in teams. Even within the classroom, you have to work in teams. Help your friends who are weaker than you. Don't hesitate in asking for help from people who are better than you. The smartest way to become smart is to stay with people who are smarter than you. I'll say again, the smartest way to become smarter is to stay with the people who are smarter than you. Stay in good company. Play team games. Go for picnics. Organize this activity. Make the picnic organized by you to be the best picnic ever can be done by anybody in this scenario. You are our man. We'll select you in the SSB. If you think classroom activity can, you're mistaken. Yeah, let me take another question. Sir, how to develop 15 OLQs in me? Who has told you 15 OLQs? Please forget about 15 OLQs. That is a term which is used for assessors. Don't complicate your life. Be a good chap. Be a good family member. Know what your father is doing, help him. Know your mother is doing, help them. Understand their limitations, understand their strengths. In return, you will get to know your own. Same thing with your friends. With your friends, do certain activities which are beneficial for the entire group, for your school, for your society. With the teachers, sit down and learn. Respect them. Learn to appreciate the efforts that they put in. See the qualities that they have, good qualities which you can imbibe in yourself. To your juniors, teach them. Help them understand. Your classroom activity, please relate them to ground. Relate them to real life. You will understand them better. Comprehension will become easier. The reflection of knowledge will be much simpler. As far as your society is concerned, national and international events are concerned, learn to understand how to analyze them. Do it with somebody who is more smarter than you, who is more sensible, who is more mature. फ्यू इंटरेक्शंस एनालिसिस कैसे किया जाता है, अलग अलग टॉपिक्स पे अलग अलग तरीके से भी हो सकता है, थोड़ा थोड़ा डिफरेंट हो सकता है. क्या चीज रेलेवेंट है, क्या चीज इररेलेवेंट है, रेलेवेंट कैसे समझते हैं, कहाँ मिलती है, कैसे कम से कम टाइम में ज्यादा से ज्यादा चीजें समझी जा सकती है. अंडरस्टैंड दैट. Try to understand yourself. Try to improve your expressions, improve your communications. Try to improve your convincing power. Physically, learn to do certain things. Generally, running is the only thing that people do. Do some arm exercises. Do some push-ups, pull-ups. Do a little bit of long jumps and high jumps. You have to be an all-rounder, a good chap basically. If you can do all this, I don't think I have talked about 15 OLQs anywhere. If you can do this much, you are in. If you are a decent sportsman and a team man, your team spirit and your cooperation, coordination with the team is all there in you. That is where it is learned. Sports fields of Aiton. Another question. One student says, sir, I am doing these activities which you tell, but how do I grow and what I had learned? Now, gentlemen, जब When you want to be very sure whether you have these qualities and are you doing enough, first thing is know your start point. If you are little younger and reasonably less on experience, 18 years, 19 years, take help. The best people to help you are your parents. If they have the capability to understand you, understand the requirement of the job, and guide you through it, they are the best ones. The next best will be your teachers. Matured enough, seeing a lot of students, know what to do, know what not to do, check how to be specific and measure, how to set goals, smart goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time oriented. Set goals, set long term goals, set short term goals. Find somebody who you can trust for guidance. The best people are your parents, friends, teachers. Out of them, anybody who has got time and intelligence enough and an orientation towards training, please take the help. You will be able to cut down the time. एकलव्य ने भी बिना गुरु द्रोणाचार्य के तीर चलाना बहुत अच्छा सीख लिया था, पर उसको समय बहुत ज्यादा लगा था. अर्जुन, जिसके पास द्रोणाचार्य जैसा गुरु था, उसने काफी कम समय में काफी महारत हासिल कर ली थी. एकलव्य ने ज्यादा समय भी दिया था, लेकिन उसको ज्यादा अच्छा रिजल्ट्स भी मिल रहा था. But the time factor is important. So if you want to cut down on time, find somebody. And I told you where to find them. The next question is, how to give ideas or solve a problem when there are 2-3 guys who are not allowing you anybody to speak. If you have the power of expression, if you can communicate effectively, if you are a cooperative person, if you can influence any group, if you can adjust any group, you'll find a method. Every group that you go to will be different. But if your basics are right, you will be able to make some sense in any group, any surroundings, and that is we want. That is what we want from our officers. किसी भी तरह का ग्रुप हो, उसमें ये काबिलियत होनी चाहिए that he should be able to adjust and still be able to effectively communicate and make suggestions, or in some form, in a certain time, lead the group into solutions. So, practice. Work on your basics. Work on analytical power. The better you are, the more easily you will be able to influence the group. How to improve self-analyze your psychology? This has been asked by Abhinav Dikshit. Gentlemen, I wish it was so easy. We can analyze, may not be fully. First thing is, it is so nice that you have started thinking and talking about your own psychology. You can understand a little bit. But sometimes you may require some trained assistance. The best people around you could be your teachers. The teachers who are in genuine love with their children and students, they actually can be good guides, provided they have time and energy for you. You may require some trained help in trying to understand and work on your psychology part of it. But psychology is not to be taught in the class and worked on. To get team spirit in your psychology, you're required to play in teams. You have to work in teams. You have to have that feeling of cooperation. You have to have the feeling of group achievements. You want to become responsible? Start from your home. Be responsible to your mother, to your father. You see anything requiring any amendment, any help, we do it in our house because we feel responsible for our house. Do we do it in the platform? No. So the more you feel responsible for your house, more you feel responsible for your society, more you feel responsible to your teachers, schools, friends, you will work for them. And if you develop this attitude, working in the field for them, you actually have got it in your psyche. Actually, let me tell you how this whole game works. It all starts with a thought. A thought actually gives, or thought or an idea in your mind actually gives rise to an opinion or perception. ये ऐसे होता है. And that actually leads into some action. And that action, once repeated over a number of times, gets into your habit. And that's when you can say that it has got into your psychology. And it all starts with a thought or an idea. Learn to get good ideas. Train your mind to get good ideas. Manasa vacha karmana. Your thought process, your speech and communication, and your actions. Everything will become good if you can imbibe certain things in your habit as your second nature. Everything that you're wanting to call as an OLQ, which I am not wanting to call them, because I am basically looking for a good chap and he has got all the 15 OLQs. Let me take another question. Sir, I am thinking, but I am not able to self-analyze on my weaknesses. Please tell me. Ashutosh Singh. Gentlemen, it is so nice to see that you have started thinking that you must analyze yourself. I am very happy, Ashutosh. Now, please see whether your friends consider you a good chap or not. Please go and interact with your friends. Please go and interact with your father, mother, and teachers, and ask them कि sir, मेरे अंदर क्या improvement की जरूरत है. Ask your elder brothers, sisters, cousins, whoever you trust, and you will get some ideas. Please see the requirement of SSB. See where you're required to reach. You understood where you are, what you are required to improve, and you know where to reach. The problem is now is to find the way, the shortest, the smartest. And in the smartest way, the difference between simple hard work and smart work is the focus. If you can maintain your focus and cut out the chef and distractions with minimum input, you're getting maximum outputs. In shortest time, you are achieving best of the results. You are on the smartest way. So find out the smartest way to achieve your goals in different qualities. There's something called wheel of life. Make a wheel of qualities. I wish I had time to explain wheel of life. Google it. Just see what is wheel of life. You can connect it to what you're required to work on yourself by making a wheel of qualities for yourself. Do that exercise. It might help you. How can we improve the imagination and thinking power? I'm so happy, beta, that you're talking about it. Read a lot of books. Read good books. Analyze them. Discuss them with your friends and some people who are more knowledgeable than you. You analyze few books and then you would see a tremendous effect on your thought process. The best thing that my mother gave me was this reading habit. First attempt I got through Sainik School. First attempt I got through India. And all success, everything in life is attributed to that reading habit that my mother brought in me. I think time is up. We had time till 5:15. If there's any other question, I'll take the last one. अंशुल तिवारी, सर हम लोगों को एसएसबी स्टार्ट कर दो यूट्यूब पर. चल रही है, कल से ऑनलाइन पेज शुरू होने वाला है ना. We want to see candidates improving. Our aim is to feed right people to the defense forces. Good chaps, trustworthy chaps, leaders of men who we can trust our society and our nation. We want to be proud of you and part of your journey. We want to share all our experience and knowledge and help you and guide you. There's so much of knowledge available all across. Your parents, your teachers, your grandparents. Learn from them. Learn the tricks of life. Make your own growth story. Every story will be different from others. You have to write your own. Your strengths are your own. Your weaknesses are your own. We are all individuals. Nobody is better or worse than other. Everybody is better in some field and not so good in the other as compared to any other person. Very difficult to say कि ये बंदा better है, ये better नहीं है. And the last thing, read books. There's a book called Outliers. It says that success will come to you only when, even if you have the talent, even if you have the sincerity, the success will come only when you get an opportunity. Prepare yourself for that opportunity. Work on yourself. want to reduce time, take help. Take help from your parents, family members, teachers. I'm sure sky is the limit. I'm sure we are going to be proud of you. And I'm also sure that I want to be a part of your journey. Wherever I can help, please, you'll find me here. If there's no other question, I think the time is up. Get in touch with me if you want help. Thank you so much. Thank you, all my children, for being here. Thank you. Jai Hind.